You're standing in a Costco parking lot at 8:47 p.m. and your neighbor pulls in next to you in a brand new truck that looks like it costs more than your first apartment. The headlights are clean enough to be disrespectful. The tires are so big they look like they have their own credit score. And for just 1 second, you feel that weird little pressure in your chest because you know exactly what people pay every month to look like that. Then you glance at your own car and you wonder if you're behind or if you're actually the one person in the parking lot who hasn't been hypnotized by the monthly payment. My name is Nico, and today we're going to talk about why everything changes after $400,000 invested. And I do mean everything. The way you think about spending changes, the way you think about risk changes, the way you think about time changes, and most importantly, the way small decisions hit your future changes. So if this kind of brutally honest money breakdown helps you see your own life more clearly, hit subscribe and give the video a thumbs up, because this is the exact conversation that saves people from making one expensive mistake they'll be paying for long after they stop enjoying it. Here's the strange part. $400,000 is not billionaire money. It is not I own a yacht and a private island money, but it is also not normal money anymore. It is the point where your money stops being a pile and starts becoming a machine. And once that machine gets big enough, it starts creating real annual income on its own. If you use a simple 7% long-term return as a rough assumption, not a promise, $400,000 produces about $28,000 a year. That is about $2,333 a month, about $77 a day. And that's the crazy part. Your money can start earning in a year what a lot of people are trying to save in an entire year. That is why this number matters so much. Empowers March 2026. Data says the average retirement savings for people in their 40s is about $593,109, while the median is $220,919. So when you hit $400,000 invested, you are not just doing okay. You are entering a zone where the math starts to behave differently. A lot of people are still trying to get their first $10,000 emergency fund together while your portfolio is throwing off enough growth to cover a serious chunk of real life. Let me show you the math with a character most people will recognize immediately. Take Troy. Troy is not irresponsible. Troy has a decent job. Troy pays his bills. Troy says things like, "I've earned a little upgrade," and Troy has a weakness for trucks. Not because he needs one for work, not because he hauls equipment every day, but because the truck says something about him. It says he's arrived. It says he's strong. It says he's not the guy who has to check the price before he fills up the tank. So Troy goes to the dealership, sits in the leather chair, hears a soft voice, sees a giant screen, and suddenly a vehicle becomes an identity purchase. And the numbers are already ugly before Troy even starts rationalizing. Bankrate's latest auto data says the average new car payment reached $767 a month in late 2025. Used cars were about $537, and full coverage insurance averaged about $225 a month. NerdWallet, citing AAA, says the average annual cost of owning a new vehicle is $11,577. So before Troy even counts fuel, maintenance, repairs, tolls, registration, or the fact that the truck is going to lose value the second he drives it off the lot, he is already near $1,000 a month just to have the thing. That's not transportation anymore. That is a subscription to status. Now, here's where it gets really interesting. Troy looks at that payment and thinks in monthly terms because that's how the dealership trained him to think. Can I afford $899 a month? Is the question. But the better question is, what does $899 a month do to my future if I keep handing it away for years? Because $899 a month invested instead of spent is not small money. It compounds into a different life. And once you understand that, the truck starts looking less like freedom and more like a very expensive emotional decision. Now, meet Hannah. Hannah is not flashy. Hannah doesn't post a car. Hannah doesn't need everyone to know she's doing well. She drives an old Toyota or a Honda or some unglamorous machine that starts every morning and offends nobody. Her friends joke about it. Her family wonders why she still has it. But Hannah has been boring in the most financially intelligent way possible. She keeps investing. She keeps buying assets instead of image. And one day her portfolio crosses $400,000. That's the moment Hannah's whole relationship with money changes, because now her money is doing something visible. At 7%, $400,000 grows by about $28,000 a year. That means her portfolio makes about $2,333 a month while she sleeps. And that's not even the part that will blow your mind. The part that will blow your mind is that every 1% move in the market is now about $4,000. A boring little 2% market swing is $8,000. A 5% move is $20,000. Suddenly, the numbers in her account start feeling like real-world salaries, not just abstract balances on a screen. And that changes behavior. It changes the emotional temperature of everything. When your account is small, you think in purchases. When your account gets big enough, you start thinking in opportunity cost. You stop asking, do I want this? And start asking, what does this cost me later? That is the exact moment wealth starts becoming a mindset instead of a target. Because the math is brutal. A $10,000 decision today does not say a $10,000 decision. At 7%, it becomes about $14,026 in 5 years, about $19,672 in 10 years, and about $38,697 in 20 years. So when somebody says it's just one nice vacation, or it's just one upgrade, or it's just one time, what they are really saying is, I'm okay with this becoming a much more expensive decision later. Most people never see the future cost because the future cost does not come with a receipt. It shows up as a smaller nest egg, later retirement, more pressure, less flexibility, and a life that feels a little tighter than it needed to feel. Here's the psychological layer nobody wants to talk about. The bigger your portfolio gets, the more society tries to pull you into spending it. People don't just sell products, they sell identities. They sell the feeling of being successful, admirable, masculine, sophisticated, adventurous, or finally not behind. Dealerships know this, luxury brands know this, social media knows this. They are not just trying to move inventory, they are trying to make you feel like your current life is temporary and your next purchase is your real life. And if you're not careful, you end up financing a costume. That's why $400,000 is such a dangerous and powerful threshold. Dangerous because it gives you enough room to start feeling invincible. Powerful because it gives you enough room to start getting serious. At smaller account sizes, bad decisions feel visible. At $400,000, bad decisions start to feel invisible. A $5,000 mistake becomes easy to dismiss. A $15,000 splurge feels emotionally survivable. But the portfolio doesn't care about your mood, it only cares about math. And math compounds whether you respect it or not. This is where a lot of people get trapped because they think wealth is about having permission to spend more. It's actually about having more options, which is different. A person with $400,000 invested does not need to prove they made it. They get to decide what made it even means. That's a subtle shift, but it's huge. One version of success is performing success. The other version is having the freedom not to perform at all. And to be fair, let's not pretend every expensive thing is stupid. You may need a reliable car, your old one may actually be a liability, you may need a bigger home because your family grew, you may want to travel because life is short and experiences matter. None of that is wrong. The point is not to become a financial monk living on rice and regret. The point is to know the real cost before you convince yourself you're being reasonable. Because there is a massive difference between buying a tool and buying a signal. There is a massive difference between a car that serves your life and a car that quietly begins to own your life. And that's where most objections fall apart. People say, but I need a truck? Fine. Maybe you do, but do you need the $1,000 a month version or do you need the useful version? People say, old cars break down. True, they do, but new cars break your budget. People say, you can't take it with you. Also true, but you also can't take with you the stress of being one repair away from a credit card balance. You can't take with you the peace of mind that comes from having options. You can't take with you the years you had to work harder because you wanted the newer thing right now. So yes, spend money, live your life, enjoy it, just don't pretend every expense is equal. Here's another way to see it. At $400,000 invested, if you keep compounding at 7%, your money could turn into about $786,861 in 10 years. In 20 years, it could become about $1.55 million. In 25 years, about $2.17 million. If the return is 8% instead, you're looking at roughly $863,570 in 10 years, $1.86 million in 20 years, and about $2.74 million in 25 years. No extra heroics, no perfect timing, no viral side hustle, just time doing what time does when you stop interrupting it. But here's the part that really changes how you feel about money. Once you're at $400,000, one more year of discipline starts to matter more than one more year of impulse. One more upgrade in your lifestyle can cost you real years of future freedom. One more major purchase can become a chain of smaller costs behind it. One more, I deserve this, can quietly become the reason you're still saying maybe next year to the things you actually care about. Because the goal is not just to get rich, the goal is to become the kind of person who understands the real trade-off behind every purchase. That person does not ask, can I squeeze this payment in? That person asks, what am I giving up if I do this? That person doesn't get tricked by the monthly number because they know the monthly number is only the first layer. The deeper cost is time. The deeper cost is flexibility. The deeper cost is future calm. And once you see it, you cannot unsee it. A portfolio with $400,000 invested is not just a number. It is leverage. It is optionality. It is the difference between reacting to life and shaping life. It is the moment your money starts hiring workers for you. Every dollar stays on the clock. Every year adds more force. Every good decision gets stronger. Every bad decision becomes more expensive. So if you're nowhere near $400,000 yet, do not hear this as some elite club you missed. Hear it as the path. This is not a rich person lecture. This is a compounding lesson, because the person with $40,000 invested and the person with $400,000 invested are living in the same country, buying the same groceries, seeing the same ads, and getting tempted by the same emotional nonsense. The difference is that one of them keeps paying for status and the other keeps buying freedom. And if you are already close to this number, then this is your warning and your invitation at the same time. Your next phase is not about feeling richer. It is about becoming harder to manipulate. It is about noticing how many expensive things are actually emotional decisions wearing practical clothing. It is about understanding that the difference between affording something and being trapped by it is often just one honest calculation. So the next time you see the truck, the vacation, the watch, the giant house, the upgraded everything, pause for 1 second and ask the question that changes lives. What is this actually costing me in future compounding? Because when you ask that question honestly, a lot of must-haves suddenly become choices. And once they become choices, you get your power back. If this video hit a nerve, drop a comment and tell me what expense you finally started calculating instead of just feeling. And if you want more honest money conversations like this, subscribe, stay in the community, and keep building the kind of wealth that gives you options. This is educational, not personal financial advice, but it is the kind of thinking that changes lives.